Welcome back. This week we're going to go with a classic Royal Wulff. This is a Lee Wulff designed pattern. The first one he did, I believe, was a white or a gray wolf. I can't remember. I read about it a while back, and I want to say that it was the white, but I could be wrong. But anyhow, the reason for the design on this fly was, I guess, they wanted something that would ride high in the water, even in turbulent water. So the wolves came around. The white wolf was proved to be successful. Then they went to the gray, and then on to the Royal, which was probably based off of the Royal Coachman, same platform at least. But this is a pattern here. It kind of gets overlooked with all this stuff that we have out there nowadays, but I mean, it still produces, it still catches fish. I know when I was a kid, when it get too hot in the summer, on the, maybe the J or, some of the other trout streams, some of them dried up a little bit. We would hike up into the mountains and we'd fish for brookies, and I'll tell you, this is the only dang pattern you needed was Royal Wulff. You just take it up there in the riffles, and you'd have a blast all day long. Same thing out here. You get in some of the smaller streams, especially with the heavy cutthroat population. This is a great pattern, and then it's also, because it rides so well on the surface, it's great for like a hopper dropper, to where you can drop a nymph underneath it and have your top water and subsurface as well. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get into this one. Let me get this out of the way so I'm not tempted to use it. Well, that's actually what I wanted. That'll work. So we'll get zoomed in here and start on this pattern. Not a whole lot to this one, really. I mean, it's just a couple of things that you can do to really set your fly apart from, good-looking fly to a, well, I better not say great, because I'll wind up jacking this one up and it'll look like garbage probably. But there's some little nuances that you can do to really improve the overall look of your fly. So we'll go through a couple of those as we go through this one. To start, I just have some 8/0 red, or maybe it's 10. I think it's 10. And I'm going to tie my tail in first. This is just a brown Metz neck that has been around for a very long time. I need to upgrade. You'll see when I wrap the Hackle on this one, it's going to wind up being pretty sparse compared to some of the flies you see out there these days. I mean, there's some really exceptional Hackle out there. But back in the day, this was top of the line. So I'm going to measure my tail out. It's going to be the length of the hook, if anything slightly longer. And I'm just going to secure this with my red thread all the way to the back. And then wrap over top of this. Probably going to hear old Knoxville panting today. 95 outside. It's just unnecessary. I'm ready for 55 and frost in the mornings. I'm not a fan of summer. How about it, Black Dog? She doesn't like it either. So, on to the fly and not the weather. Really critical on this one. A lot of the flies you'll see, well, not a lot of them, some of the flies you see out there, they use the calf tail. That wing is going to be so sparse, and it's not going to give you the float, or the best float in the world. This calf body hair, there's more fibers per square inch. There's not as much of a wave to the actual hair. So this stuff is just about perfect for these wings. So I'm just going to fan this out in my hand. I'm going to run it through the comb, get rid of any of the small fibers that are in there, and hopefully that leads to less trimming as we get to putting the Hackle and everything else in. So now I'm just going to throw this in the stacker. You can see how this is right there. If you want to tie it in like that, great. Have at it. It's not going to make or break the fly. But I think it looks a little cleaner when you run this through the stacker and make the wings look better. So, I didn't like that too much. There's still a couple of stragglers through there. That's a little better. Nope, not happy with it. Not happy. We're going to try again. I may have some static buildup in there or something. Alright, take 3. There we go. That's a little better. You can see now that these fibers are nice and lined up, nice and clean here. So now all I'm going to do is just transfer this over and grab it with my right hand, and then pinch with my left, recapture it. All my fibers are still nice and even. And then I'm going to go ahead and tie this in. Before I tie it in, I'm going to measure it out to be about the length of the hook shank. And then I'm going to have this in at about my 1/3 point. So now all I'm going to do is just get a couple of loose wraps, making sure that my fibers are staying on top of the hook, not wrapping around the side. Get a couple of good secure wraps here, and then I'm going to peel my fibers up, and I'm going to cut this at an angle, working its way back. So I know probably can't see the angle too well there. I'll see if I zoom in if it helps at all. No, because I'm way off center. But there's the angle that you want to work with, and it's not really so important because we're using the Peacock Hurl for our body. But if you were doing like dubbing or a quill body, it's a good habit to get into to get that nice taper, and you'll be able to see it a lot better here once I get this. Once I get this red thread over top of it, you'll be able to see the taper that we have, and it really makes a big difference. If I were wrapping a quill body, that taper right there is paramount. I mean, you have to have it. If not, your quills are going to be all over the place. You won't get the nice segmentation, and fish will look at it and not eat it because there's a bad taper to it. It's just how it works. I don't make the rules up. That's just how it goes. So, next up on this one is I'm going to take 2 Peacock Hurls and tie these in from the tips. Don't use the very top. They're pretty brittle. I just go about 1/4 of the way back and pinch those off. And then I'm going to get these tied in and secure. I don't worry too much about stripping the excess off and just tying in on the stem. So we will get these nice and clean, get a nice red base down there. And start wrapping the Hurl. If you really want to and you really want to shore this fly up a little bit, you can take some extra small copper or gold wire and counter wrap this, because the Peacock Hurl is pretty darn brittle. You get a tooth in there and it'll unravel on you pretty quick. I actually recommend doing that, but for sake of saving some time here, we're gonna omit that step here. So now you have your first little bump in the back there on that Peacock Hurl. I'm going to get zoomed in just slightly more there. There, we got our first little section of Peacock Hurl tied in. I'm going to go ahead and clip this because I don't want to create bulk coming across here. I like having that, you know, 2 bumps in between the thread. I don't like it being all the same the same height or the same width, whatever measurement you're using there. And then I'm going to tie this Peacock Hurl back in, and then we're just coming right around working this right through, and then we'll tie this off. So there you can see you have that, there's two clean segments of Peacock Hurl separated by the red thread. Now this is completely personal preference. I like the front side to be a little bulkier. That's why I tie it in with the tips first instead of going with the butt ends. But I like that front end being a little bulkier than I do the back. And then, like I said, having the separation with the thread in front there. So I got a little bit carried away here. I got a little bit too close to the eye of the hook. I could have set that body back a little. So now I'm just going to make a couple of wraps, or my wings could have been back a little bit further, but I'll try and correct that here momentarily. Oh, get out of here. Stuff doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. Just going to get a quick knot in there, and then I'm going to change up my thread. I'm going to go to brown. A little bit easier to work with, and it's on the longer bobbin, so it makes it, I'm able to get my hand away from it just a little bit, makes things a little easier. Well, I think the entire neighborhood is out cutting grass today. You can hear them in the background. Alright, so I got my brown thread tied in now. Everything's secured. I'll just push through that, get that out of my way. Now, I'm going to stand up this calf body hair, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to try and peel it back a little bit so it's not as close to the eye. It's still closer to the eye than I would really prefer it, but oh well, I told you it's a good thing I didn't say it was going to be a great looking fly, because inevitably I was going to mess something up. So I'm just going to stand these wings upright, and I'm going to divide them. Run some figure eights through here. And now, a lot of times when you run these figure eights, because you have more material on the back side than you do the front, they tend to want to lean a little bit forward on you. It's because I'm tying right up against that back material that I already have in. So I'm just going to peel these back a little bit more. I'm going to get some thread build up on the front side, and then I'm going to take one loop around my entire wing, my entire set of wings, and I'm just going to pull that a little bit snug. Get around there. Pull that a little bit snug, and it's going to stand them up for me a little bit. There we go. And it kind of pulls your wings to where at first they're really splayed out. Kind of pulls them together and gives them a little bit more upright appearance. So now the last thing that I'm going to do is take, I usually undersize my my dry flies when I tie them traditional like this. I usually undersize my hackle, but for this one you want to get a little bit more hackle on there, because with the Wulff, like I said earlier in the video, is designed to ride in some turbulent water. And if you do that with a really sparse hackle fiber like I have here, it's going to go away from what it was designed for. So I'm not going to undersize this one, and I'm going to keep this, it's probably right at a 12, or heck, it may even be a 10. I don't know. It's a pretty stout hackle here. But for all my other mayflies, like the PMDs, the olives, hell, even the drakes, I keep those undersized considerably. Like if I'm tying on a 12, I'd usually use like a 16 hackle. So this is going to look a little bit long compared to a lot of the stuff you see from me, and it's just because I want it to fill out and ride higher in that water. So I'm going to try and get about 5 good wraps in here. I'm not going to push for a 6, that's pushing my luck. Get 5 good wraps in there, and then we'll go ahead and tie this off. Get rid of our hackle. Yeah, come on. I need to buy some new necks here. This is not near as thick as what it should be, but I'll wait until I chew through the rest of these. So I'm just going to peel this out of my way, make things nice and clean here, and then get a quick whip finish. Now, if it's going to allow it. There we go. That's more of a half hitch, I guess. Fat fingers aren't cooperating with me here on these smaller hooks. So there is the Royal Wulff dry fly. Wings are still leaning forward on me just slightly. I'm going to peel this up, get it sitting right in the hook, and you can see it a little bit better here. The wings are still coming forward just slightly. You know, I could have moved that. Should have moved it back a little bit. My wings should probably be sitting about 1/8 of an inch further back. So I'm not going to fish this pattern because the fish are going to see that and not eat it. So I'm not even going to take this one out on the water. As always, at least I'm entertaining to myself. If you guys have any questions or comments on this pattern, if you want to tell me that I screwed something up, leave them in the comments. I won't get offended. But thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you on next week's fly.